Awesome. So I guess maybe we'll start with the team interviews, intros, and then we'll go into the overview of the product. So how about Cletus?
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody. My name is the Cletosaurus. I do partnerships and community at Printer Financial. This includes everything from setting up AMAs, outreach, marketing, video material, etc. Outside of crypto, my experience is in electrical engineering. I work on electrical substations that keep the U.S. grid operational, so it's pretty fun. I also teach engineering courses for freshmen at university, so I have a wide range of, I guess, general technical experience. So yeah, I mean, that's a little bit about me. Really excited for this AMA.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Drew.
I will be in charge of being some sort of a glue between our design department and the back end that is mostly taken care of by Atlas. So I do front-end coding for this project specifically. I've been coding for a very long time. My main experience is through e-commerce websites, so it's in the web space. I worked on a million different things. I worked on sniping bots for auction websites. I worked on fashion e-commerce websites that deal with game-worn used jerseys by famous pro athletes. I delivered software training for many of the major pharmaceutical companies. I coded analysis software for professional poker players, for professional Dota teams. I've done a bunch of things. In this specific project, I'll be taking care of the front-end coding.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm actually a Dota player myself, so when you said Dota, I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So you understand how incredibly complex and fascinating the game is.
Yeah, for sure. I'm top 600 in Southeast Asia.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay. You probably, no, I can't name them, but I did work with players of your caliber to develop.
Probably higher than me, right? Because they're like 200s and stuff.
Yeah, I don't quite have the 200s on my team. It's mostly guys of your level.
Okay.
And yeah, we created something, and we did kind of sell it to a Southeast Asian team that I cannot name. but yeah, I can't say too much, but I'm super glad that you understand.
Yeah, in the interest of anonymity, you can't mention too much.
Right. Yeah. Also, I signed an NDA with them because everybody wants, just like poker players, nobody wants to, in the professional space, no one wants to tell the other competitors that, oh yeah, actually I'm using this new thing that makes my life easier. So they want to keep it a secret.
Yeah, you need a professional edge, and you think you'll be providing that to Printer Financial.
Hopefully, yeah.
Perfect. That sounds great. Okay, so for my understanding, you guys have like a pretty solid team. I don't think Pumpkin is here, right?
It looks like Pumpkin and Atlas have their hands raised.
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I don't know what happened there.
So Pumpkin, why don't you do your intro?
My background is in mainly communication, so copywriting, interview training. I've worked in recruitment, sales, some community management, these kinds of things. And I was the first person to join the team working with Atlas, and I guess kind of do a lot of the non-tech stuff. With the non-tech team, the community, most of the announcements will come from me. I think all of the Twitter posts are me. The communication is generally the stuff that I do. So yeah, that's my background. I studied philosophy, which just gives you a lot of questions about life. And now I'm on this team. So that's kind of my background.
A lot of cool backgrounds here, actually. It feels like everyone's very like qualified for their role.
Yeah, they're a proper person, aren't they? Everyone's kind of a grown-up.
I've noticed that like sometimes some teams, it'll feel like some of the people are qualified and other people are there because they're like They were just enthusiastic, right? Which is a good trait to have, but not necessarily like something that necessarily leads to success. So I like that the team is very qualified.
Yeah, I think everyone feels like a grown-up is what I would say. Not that they're not also a degen, but they,
I mean, yes, that's what led you
well.
down this path, but it doesn't take away from your other professional attributes. All right, let's go ahead.
I was going to say we also have a couple of other team members who aren't here. So we have Hash, who is Swiss, and he kind of is very Swiss, make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and is mainly in charge of a lot of the governance things, because I'm sure it will come up later, but voting is quite a big part of the protocol. And we also have Diza, who is, I think he's in Barcelona now, he's been traveling. And he's, along with Cletus, has been leading a lot of the kind of outreach stuff. He did this amazing work getting loads of different blockchains like Metis and Celo to come in and talk to us and the community about what was going on there. So there are a few more people in the team who just aren't here right now.
Okay. Actually, I'm actually very curious about this. Well, give me an overview of Printer Financial. I'm going in completely blank.
Printer Financial, in my perspective, and bear in mind that I'm a philosophy person who likes interviews, not a dev, is really the goal of the project is to unify the chains. Because I'm sure we've all had these experiences of, trying to bridge somewhere and it doesn't work. I spent like 2 hours trying to bridge, Stables to Celo for our gas station. And I just wanted to kill myself. Like, I was so depressed.
Oh.
I'm sure we've all been in that kind of situation. We all have these annoyances, or where you kind of want to get started on a new chain, but you don't really know what to do and what's going on. And people can become kind of chain maxis where you only have like one place that you play.
Yeah.
The goal of Printer Financial is really to make everything one thing. Like Atlas has said that he wants to make it as easy to swap different tokens across different chains. So for example, swapping, AVAX on AVAX to Phantom on Phantom, to make that as easy as it is to perform swaps on-chain. And what we really want to do is to bring a whole kind of DeFi suite of utility. So this is all built out of the bridge. That's the main thing, and is probably something that we'll talk about a lot. It's a free bridge. Like I'm sure we've all, sometimes just wanted to bridge small amounts. And it's like, what? But that's like taking, loads of my money. That's not fair. So it's a free bridge. It's super fast, like unless the blockchains are acting up, it's faster than you can switch blockchains. The only reason it's slow is if one of the blockchains is having a panic attack. We also have our own auto compounders that we've recently built and launched that can be for us or for any other project. The same with the bridge. The bridge at the moment is for us using paper, which is one of our tokens, but it can be offered to any other protocol that wants to go cross-chain and that wants, I suppose, their own private bridge. Like I know that other bridges exist, but you have to have a lot of liquidity on either side in order for them to work. And they're also a little bit like, I don't know, kind of getting the train, everyone's there.
Okay.
Whereas with our bridge, it can be personalized. So I guess that's a somewhat decent overview of the project. Atlas, is there anything that you want to add that I've not done justice to?
No, I think that's a good explanation. Can you guys hear me now, by the way? For some reason, I got muted earlier. Okay. So yeah, that's a very good explanation. So yeah, like Pumpkin said, the bridge is the underlying core, the infrastructure of the whole project, and the vision is to break down the barriers between chains. I think one thing that maybe should be a little bit more pronounced is we also have this bridge as a service, which is now just becoming a buzzword. So you can see a lot of other projects trying to pick up on that. So any project that wants to use their native tokens can use our technology in a white label type of way. So it was built from the ground up to be white labeled, a la enterprise mode. So my background is a lot of enterprise security operations, even did some agile coaching as a brief intro. So it's kind of built like that from the ground up.
Okay, that sounds very interesting, because I understand that there's a lot of projects that would like to go cross-chain, but the difficulty of doing it would just be like too much of an undertaking. Whereas if they use your bridging as a service, they would be able to do it at like a much cheaper alternative.
Yeah, exactly. And our bridge, I think, I know that other options exist, but you have to have really a lot of liquidity on either side in order to use it. And I think especially for small projects, that can be quite hard. But we even see for big projects, like sometimes I've tried to bridge USDC from, I don't know, AVAX to Phantom, like pretty popular chains. And sometimes there's only like $2,000 of liquidity or something available, which is nothing when you consider how many people would want that. So the way that our bridge works is it's a burn and mint function. So you don't have to have these huge liquidity pools on either side. It just burns and mints the token like super quickly.
Yeah, so in order to maintain the liquidity.
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah, so another key thing is this project basically spun out of the cross-chain liquidity issue, like Pumpkin mentioned. Even sometimes the stables get very low or nothing, and then you get stuck with these intermediary tokens that you can't swap out of until the liquidity builds up on your exit. So if a project wants to use us as a bridge, they already have their liquidity on a DEX for their normal swaps. They would not then need to duplicate that liquidity into the bridge. The liquidity on their swaps is the exit. So it really kind of solves that liquidity issue. You won't run into the case where you get stuck with the other tokens, which also opens up a lot of interesting things for our tokenomics. So our token that bridges across chains is our paper token. And each chain, its paper is paired to the native token on the chain. So if we see an instance where, let's say, Phantom has a huge crash for whatever reason, well, then the price of paper is going to drop there, but that's going to incentivize people to buy paper from Phantom at a discount, bridge it for free, and sell it on the other chains. So it acts as
basically just a free arbitrage situation.
Yeah, super easy arbitrage. You don't have to guess. And it's
Okay,
really
I can see how that would totally work, because my only issue I was thinking is like, how are you going to maintain the price of paper? But then now that you said that there's the free bridging effect, right? You'd be able to do it, especially since you're burning and minting whenever you do so. So you make sure that there's no longer like extra tokens and such, right?
Yeah, and Atlas has also pointed out that, for example, as we're starting to launch now on kind of smaller chains, if one of those chains does a 100x or whatever as is possible, it would take the price of paper with it because they're paired. So then that, the price of paper on, new blockchain has absolutely pumped. It brings the rest of it up because then everybody else is going to buy on the cheaper chains, sell on the more expensive chains. Exactly. So it helps to stabilize the whole.
Okay, so you guys take advantage of all the possibilities of other chains exploding. So instead of betting on one chain, you guys can actually spread your bets out across all the chains.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, so if you're bullish on crypto in general, that's a good exposure to all of the crypto in general.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to really look at your white paper after this. This is really interesting.
Yeah, and take a look at our new website. I was trying to chime in earlier when I went mute. Drew mentioned that he hopes to be providing some value. You could see the value that he's already provided. So we just launched a couple weeks ago a 100% brand new website. Lets us, more easily manage and extend what we're doing. And yeah, I think it's a phenomenal site. We have a global dashboard view where you can get an overview of all the chains, what's going on there, staking pool values. So it's really pretty nice.
And it's custom. How often do you see custom things in crypto?
Yeah, no, not very often. I'll definitely take a look at it. I like the fact that you guys provided an actual use case for why you guys have multiple chains. Because usually the problem when, projects go multi-chain is like, how does this chain, affect the person who invested in the original chain, right?
Yeah.
But now that you guys have the free bridging effect, it actually makes complete sense, because then they'll be able to directly benefit from the new chains opening up.
Yeah, multi-chain has become a bit of a buzzword, hasn't it? Like where everyone's just kind of doing it because...
Yeah, it usually doesn't have a real purpose.
Whereas for us, because we have the bridge, we have all of these things, utility was built in from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, which lets us build out a lot of other DeFi utility, like Pumpkin was mentioning earlier. So we just launched our own auto compounding farms. Currently, we have ours on. We're now in the phase, they're brand new. So we're now in the phase of adding, promising projects from the different ecosystems that we're on. So that way, we're launched on 8 chains. This Friday, it'll be 9. And every time we launch a new chain, that's an introduction of our community to this new chain. So when they go on, they're not going to know, what projects are here, where can I put my money, what's safe, what's not. And by having these auto compounding farms that follow us everywhere, it kind of gives people that first entry into the ecosystem. They're familiar with the project, with the site, so they don't even have to leave to start exploring, and which is very nice. Like we've been having a lot of these chains actually come in and pitch themselves to us. So this is kind of I think every chain we add, we're really bringing the whole community with us for the new experience.
Yeah. Actually, I actually have a question. So you said that the idea is that paper will be arbitraged across the different chains because of the free bridging, right? Mm-hmm. Is there any part of that that's going to actually be like a contract that helps to make sure that happens correctly? Or is this just going to be entirely community relied upon so that, the community has to do the arbitrage?
Well, sorry.
I was going to say, like, that's something that I've been reluctant to program in, is an auto arbitrage, because the protocol would be able to do it a lot quicker than any person. So we want to keep those arbitrage or opportunities to the community. That's an extra way to make money with the project.
Well, I was thinking what you guys could do is you could do it with like a specific percentage of it, right? So not all of it would be arbitrage, but a percentage would be arbitrage. That way you can like sort of kickstart the arbitraging. But I agree that if you do it with a contract that does it completely, then it would just take away from the community being able to benefit from that.
Yeah. What we found so far is it does get arbed up pretty quickly. Like we can kind of watch it in real time, and sometimes people are like, oh, look, there's an opportunity. Someone should go get that. So far, the community has been pretty efficient. But I think if there came a time, the only reason I could see us doing it is if other people were creating contracts that were taking it away from the community, then it might be better for us to do it. But that would be something the community would vote on. But at the moment, so long as the community is, I think, having a good time doing it, we don't want to take that away. The only reason would be if someone else had a bot or something that was faster.
Do you have a way to verify if no one's doing a contract to do it?
Oh, yeah, we have price tickers in our Discord. On our website, we have a global view. Price.
Okay. So you're able to really watch in real time whether it's being arbed like through a bot or through like a sort of like natural process.
Well, I think we've seen it that you can see the time. Like it's fast, but you can see the time. I think if it was instant, yeah, it would be a community vote. Like most things that we do, we vote on. So if the community wanted us to do that, then we would.
And this isn't a DAO, right? This is just like people will vote and it'll just be every vote's equal. Or is this a DAO?
Yeah, that would be our INC token. So INC is our governance token. We have 100,000 INC per chain that will be emitted over the lifetime of the chain, and it's 1 INC per vote. The INC gets to decide what happens on the chain itself. So each chain does have its own treasury. And there is an elected treasury council. You can see a lot of that in our white paper, in our docs. There's a lot of information in there. And so you can, I mean, the project in of itself is community owned. We didn't do any pre-sales. We didn't do any VC capital, anything like that. So yeah, it's a community owned protocol, and INC would be the token that you share in the rewards of the protocol. So the revenue coming in, every chain that we launch on is actually voted. Tokenomics, for instance, we did change our tokenomics a while back, where we put a hard cap of 5 million paper that will ever be emitted per chain. And that gives people the ability to actually now model out supply of paper, gives the Treasury Council guidance on how they need to, come up with revenue over what time to give INC holders. It made a lot of things more modelable.
And that was
and technically, as the chains expand, more paper will be printed because you guys can have multiple chains can all have 5 million as a cap, right? And when people do cross-chain transfers, the tokens get burned. So it's not like it's a 5 million, it's stuck there, no one has any chance of entering. It's more like 5 million will ever be on one chain at a time, but people can have a chance to enter at any moment to get some of the paper, right?
Yeah, so we need that initial paper on the new chain in order to start building up liquidity there. And then as the paper goes across the different chains, that really affects the price of paper. So when I said we were solving a liquidity issue, you can kind of think of it if somebody moves a big transfer from Phantom to BSC, all they have to do is wait a couple seconds, and that liquidity is arbitraged right back.
Yeah.
And it basically resets the liquidity for the next transfer.
Actually, yeah. Basically, you guys have a token that's truly cross-chain, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of projects say they're multi-chain, but
in reality, they just have other liquidity pools.
Yeah, they're on multiple chains, but we are multiple chains.
Exactly. So this is a truly cross-chain token. That's very cool. So you guys were talking about like governance tokens. So I'm just curious. So is there like a limit on the governance tokens that one wallet can have, or how exactly do the votes, occur?
No, it's 1 ink, 1 vote. There's no limits on that. There's 100,000 ink that will ever be emitted per chain, and that token is not bridgeable. There is also a 5% transfer tax on ink. So it's really a token that we want people to buy and hold if they want to be part of the protocol, not a token for people to pump, dump, and trade around.
Okay. You said that people who hold ink get a percentage of revenue, if I recall?
Yes, correct. So,
the revenue would be from that chain specifically, not from the whole protocol.
Exactly. Yeah. It's whatever's on that chain.
Also,
and
technically, if you were trying to get the most out of it, you would get ink on like a new chain, because technically the protocol revenue could potentially be a lot higher.
That would be financial advice and speculation.
It's speculation. I'm curious.
Yeah, I guess it all depends on the chain and how you feel about the chain, but you have the right idea that the value of ink is highly dependent on the performance of an individual chain.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys earn any of the trading fees off of ink or any of those tokens, or how exactly does the protocol generate revenue?
So one of the ways that we generate is through the ink transfer tax, which goes directly to the Treasury, and again is managed by the Treasury Council, which is community voted, and all the plans coming out of the Treasury Council are voted up or down by the community.
You mean the paper transfer tax? Because you said ink had...
Oh, no. Ink has the transfer tax. Paper is free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there are no taxes on paper.
Ink is like your home computer system, and paper.
Oh, you mean like wallet-to-wallet transfer, not cross-chain transfer? That's what you meant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's my mistake.
Like buys and sells and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ink cannot go cross-chain. Yeah, that stays on the chain that it was farmed from.
Okay.
So that's one way that the Treasury collects funds. The other is the performance fees from the auto compounders. So we basically have a Yield Wolf, Beefy, Auto Farm. We are that now, and it's on every chain that we're on, and it follows us everywhere that we go, which I think in of itself is a project. We also have bridging as a service, which again, in of itself is a project. We're also adding other features such as our own auto routing on all of the chains, so that people will be able to get the aggregate best route for whatever swaps they're doing right on the Printer Financial website as well, which helps people, again, going to new chains, not knowing what DEXs are out there, where should they be going, who should they trust.
So you basically an automated swap procedure for new chains.
The automated market maker, but it's more of the aggregation of the existing DEXs.
Mm-hmm.
So it will find you the best route between all of the liquidity pools on all of the DEXs.
Okay.
And then, and that again is a project in of itself. I think we have a lot of potential.
There's a lot of cool things here. So just in case for people who weren't here earlier, could you explain how the cross-chain liquidity swapping works?
The cross-chain, so you mean bridging of paper?
Yeah, bridging of paper.
Yeah, so it's actually, if you go into our Discord, just message any of our mods. We have a AMA paper channel. They'll give you some paper to try out. Mm-hmm. So it's very simple. You just go to the site, click on bridge, enter the amount of paper you want to transfer, hit the chain, click transfer, and pretty much as soon as you swap your chain, you will see the paper on the other chain. That's it.
And on the back end, it's burning and minting what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it actually doesn't cost you guys necessarily a lot to do that cross-chain transfer. It's just a basic, supply control, right?
Well, it costs us in gas fees right now.
Okay. But the gas fees wouldn't be as much as like a regular cross-chain transfer, correct?
Correct, because we built the bridge. That's our technology in-house. That's why we're able to do it so cheaply.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't build the bridge to monetize the bridge of itself like all of the other bridge projects. We built the bridge to then offer all of the utility on top that doesn't really exist right now in the marketplace.
Yeah, so instead of making money off the protocol from that aspect, you make money off of it by providing it as a service to make DeFi overall a lot better, as well as cross-chain swapping, just generally useful for all, new projects.
Yeah, and also another feature we have is our gas station. So how many times have you ran out of gas on a chain or needed gas on a new chain? We have a feature on our site called the gas station where you burn 50 paper and you get native token on the chain of your choice. So you never have to run out of gas ever again.
Okay. So you could actually have the option to get the new gas in a new chain, because usually when you're going to a new chain, you have to buy the new chain token, which might be difficult to do if you don't know where to find it.
So difficult. Like I said, I spent 2 hours trying to get Cello to load up the gas station. It's such a pain. So with this,
that makes...
on whatever let's say you've only ever used Phantom, you can, maybe you already have paper or you don't, but you can buy it, and then you want to get started on AVAX. You would just go there, you'd select Avalanche, and you'd get your gas on the new chain. So it's super useful for getting started. You don't have to dance around going to a centralized exchange or begging for gas.
This is useful even if you're not going to a new chain. Let's say you only have all your liquidity on one chain, but there's this project on this chain that you've already been on, but you just don't have enough gas to do it, right?
Or even
you have USDC, and then now you have paper. You can then get the gas fee in order to do your transactions.
Yeah, exactly.
I have used it more times than I'm willing to admit.
The gas station?
Yeah. Sometimes you run out on a chain that you use anyway, and then you're like, oh no, now what? I have to go all the way to, what do I do?
You underestimated fees. There's so many use cases,
Exactly. This gives you a really easy way to get started. Generally, we have to update the amount that we're swapping. It's generally about 70% you get, and it's always enough to get started, to make your first.
And essentially what happens is the protocol itself takes the gas fee that is required to do the conversion. Correct?
Well, what we do, I think Atlas, I think you've gone quiet again, but we buy the native token. So let's say we buy some Phantom, we put it in the gas station, and then when you want to use it, you burn the paper that you have, and it doesn't mint because it was already there, but it gives you 70% of the value of whatever it is that you've burned.
Yeah. So this is also a way to deflate paper as well.
Mm-hmm. So you said that there can only be 5 million paper at any point or in the per chain. Is that the initial supply, or is that the
no,
maximum supply?
5 million emitted per chain. Yes.
Okay.
So at any given time, the supply can be more or less depending on where it's flowing, and the arbitrage is what will then reset that liquidity.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
Can I give a little bit of a recap? I think we've spoken about so much. I want to make sure that it all flows.
Okay, so main aspect of Printer, it's a new protocol that helps people go multi-chain without having to own or be even introduced to the new chain. They can just hold Printer, and if they want to go into the new chain, they can easily do it through the Printer bridge.
Yeah, so it's a way to make the DeFi experience much more unified. So we've kind of got everything. I think we've really tried to think about what is hard, what sucks about DeFi, what's difficult, and how can we make it easy. And one of the things that sucks is having gas, whether it's for a new chain or you've just run out. That's hard. So we've got a gas station to solve that problem. Another thing that sucks is bridging. Sometimes the bridge doesn't work. There's no liquidity. It's really slow. It's really expensive. So we fix that problem by having a super fast and free bridge. And then sometimes you get there and you're like, what do? I don't even know what to do. I know that getting on a new chain sometimes feels like arriving in a new country. You're just kind of standing there like that John Travolta meme, like, now what? So we have the auto compounders, and as we start to add projects to that, it will be easier for people who are new somewhere. They can just go check out auto compounders and be like, oh, okay, let me look up this project, let me look up that one. Or they don't even have to do that. They can stay within our ecosystem and still have exposure to, whatever blockchain they're on. Like if they create the paper native token LP, then they're having exposure to that new chain. And then what we're working on in the future is to make the whole swapping part even easier as well. Like sometimes you arrive, you're like, I don't know where to go. What's the DEX? How do I get started? And by having our own swaps on site, you don't even have to do that. So you can basically have exposure to all the chains that we're on without ever having to leave the Printerverse. And if you do decide that you want to leave, like you want to go out and look at other things, which is also super cool, you should travel and explore. We're trying to make that easier by, having other projects that we're hosting and providing these kinds of services. And I would say that for the blockchains, especially the smaller ones, when we arrive, we can kind of bring a bit of a party. Like we're bringing all of our utilities, we're bringing our community. So we're kind of a bit of a sort of one-stop shop for DeFi, however people want to use that, whether it's just for bridging, whether it's for the auto compounders, whether it's for getting exposure to the native token. We are trying to make the whole DeFi experience as easy and as smooth as possible. Almost like a tour. When you go to a new country and you have a tour guide who shows you what's cool and helps you do everything. I think that's a little bit what we're doing in DeFi.
That was very eloquent, I would say.
Thank you. Yeah, my experience in communication hasn't been for nothing.
No, very, very, very good explanation. I think that was a lot simpler than the earlier explanation. Although the earlier explanation was very much more like detailed and technical. This one was a lot like easier for people if you want like a very like simple definition. I think that was perfect. So some other questions, just team-wise. What are you guys doing to make Printer very secure? What are your security measures?
This is Atlas's specialty.
I have an extensive security background. So everything that I build is security first. So I've worked in financial technology, e-commerce, places that are normally targets of, bad actors. And it's about following some basic principles first and foremost. So anytime that I see any hacks, pretty much anywhere, I try to, do some investigation to figure out if I can see why it happened without reading the why it happened. And then I like to study those to kind of learn from other people's mistakes. But a lot of the common themes with security is people build these applications that are incredibly too complex. So they want to do too many things in too many areas, and it looks cool. People are excited. It looks like it's good technology, but it just opens up your attack vector. So one of the things that we tried to do was keep everything as small and as slim as possible. So there's only as many moving parts as there needs to be. Things are then separated. So, we're adding the, bridging as a service. Well, every single client, every single bridge is in its own world. So anything that happens, like let's say that their token has an issue, that will not ripple onto any other parts of the protocol. It silos everything. And like auto compounders, swapping, those are all different subsystems so that it's not all dependent on complex interactions between different moving parts, because when you start, you can design every part to be secure, but when you put them all together, you just created another system. I call that the big S system, which has its own characteristics, which may or may not be secure, no matter if the underlying components individually are secure. So we've taken a lot of steps in security area. Website, for example, there's no backend to hack. So there was an attack that was kind of common over the past couple months, domain hijacking, server hacking, changing contract addresses. Well, everything, our website has no database, has no backend. It's all statically hosted. So there's no extra servers to maintain. There are no public-facing servers, period. So we kind of don't even have to worry about security on that level. And that's the idea. Keep things simple.
Okay. So basically what you've done is you've encapsulated all of the separate aspects of the protocol. So everything is, individually secure. and even if one individual part is breached or attacked, it doesn't affect the whole system. And not only that, you've gone and made sure that you don't have any publicly accessible servers for your website, right? For the backend, right? So there's no database, and so all the data is stored statically, like what you were saying. Okay.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, those are all really cool points. What about like in terms of like, why would people trust you guys as a team other than how the protocol is secure?
I think we have a very good track record. So we started, I think we launched first February 2nd, and we've always been highly available. We're going on 9 chains now. The teams never dumped allocations like a lot of projects do. Everybody's here for the long-term goal. Like, everybody on the team wants to make money, but we're not trying to eat off of the launch of a protocol. We know the vision that we're going on, and we're planning for that long game. So we win when the project wins, and the project is of the community, and that's really core to who we are. And also everybody on the team has other jobs, so it isn't like we're eating off of this. We're all like real people in the real world. So I think that's a lot different from the majority of projects that, a lot of the devs, they may even be contract devs that get their allocation, and the first thing they do is convert it into stables, and they're off to a new project. And we're completely different.
I'd say something else as well that we're really trying to do is, so we have a treasury which was voted on by the community, and they're currently in the process of setting up multi-sigs. And there was talk of who should be on the multi-sig. They were like, Atlas, you should be on the multi-sig. And he was like, I already have enough input into this project. I think it's better if other people are. I think we're really keen to, I don't want to say not be in charge, because that sounds like we don't want to do it, and it's not that. But to not have it so that everything is down to what I want, or everything is down to what Atlas wants. It's to have it as community-based as possible. And even then say, sorry?
You want to lower the centralization of the decisions.
Yeah, definitely. And we want it to be as community-oriented as possible. So I think the kind of initial mindset, at least, is not, what do I want to do? I like this chain. I want to go there. My friends are there, or whatever. It's to have as much of it in the hands of the community, and we're just kind of executing, I suppose, what they want. So I think that also, I think is a good sort of sign for trustworthiness, that we're not trying to control people or tell them what to do. We just want to kind of guide the community and do what they want, and that we're not trying to, have control over everything.
Yeah, I think that was.
If you take a look at our snapshot, if you take a look at our snapshot.org, you can get a little sense of how often we vote.
Okay, but will any of the team members be on the multi-sig?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I feel like there should definitely be at least a few, right?
Oh yeah. The point was really just not to that. Where I think people wanted Atlas to have more control, he sort of always is pushing to have it more distributed.
Yeah, because what if Atlas went rogue, or if someone hacked Atlas's wallet, right? Then all of a sudden the multi-sig is somewhat,
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I always try and factor in, like, say, this is going to sound stupid, but with like Discord permissions, is for it not to be like, oh, I like this person, then they need this access. It's what happens if this goes rogue, if, we hire someone new and they're not so good. So I think it's also kind of built into every kind of small decision as well.
Yeah, every decision has, you're thinking about the repercussions as well as, like, instead of just the benefits.
Yeah, exactly, is what happens if this goes wrong. Like, I think that's something we talk about a lot, is it's really easy to just get super bullish on like, this is so good, what if it goes right? But it's, what's the downside to this? Where can this go wrong?
Yeah, I think it's even seeable in the way you guys designed the protocol, because you guys are not making fees off of the multi-chain, right? Which is like the main aspect of the protocol, but you guys are just trying to make fees off of other projects joining in. So you're not trying to make fees off your money off your community. You're trying to generate revenue through like actual use cases. So it's not a zero-sum game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even with the not arbitraging, it would be very easy for Atlas to have set that up. But we don't want to make money off the community, or to be in a position where it's kind of, devs versus community. Like, we really don't want that. We want to make money for the community, not to take it from them.
Yeah, I really like the gas station idea. I think that's a good way. That's a good deflationary use case. but it's also something that's actually genuinely useful for like many community members. I feel like I'm going to end up using that maybe tomorrow.
It's super useful. Please do.
Okay.
So I think we've had about 13,000 usages, over 13,000 so far since we launched on the gas station. We had
about 10 million paper, right? I did post it on Twitter earlier today. It was a bit over 10 million.
We've had over 10 million paper across our bridge, and there's only about 6 million paper in existence. So every piece of paper has crossed the bridge 1.77 times.
Very good. That shows that it's really being used and it functions properly, even with high volume.
Yep. Well, the volume isn't an issue. Sometimes people ask, like, is it different bridging 10,000 to 10? And this is like, no, it's not. It's the same. For the bridge, for the technology, it's super scalable.
Yeah. Not only that, it's scalable horizontally. So we move as fast as the blockchain moves. Like, there is no other limitation to our speed.
Yeah, because essentially you're just minting and then burning tokens, and it doesn't matter what the amount is. It would just be the same amount on both sides.
It's the same what?
Well, there are some other bridges that are designed differently. You actually get put into a queue. They could only physically handle one bridge at a time until the transaction clears. And then they can do the next transaction. We can scale that out literally unlimitedly. So there is, like, our limitation would be if we filled up all of the available blocks available in a confirmation. So we can literally run at blockchain speed.
Okay, that's really cool. Actually, I was going to ask, what is the difference between the printer bridge versus other bridges? What would you say? What's the main difference?
Yeah, I would say the number one is the liquidity. So we're not dependent on that exit liquidity. You'll never get stuck with intermediary tokens, and our cost, speed, cost, and liquidity. That's the major.
Will there ever be a time where people will have a way to swap Ether tokens, not just like project tokens that are paired with you, but just regular tokens over through the printer, swap without having to hold printer?
Yeah. So right after we're done with the auto routing, the DEX aggregator, that sets us up for the next component, which is the any-to-any token swap, which will be sooner than later. And that'll allow you to take, say, Boo from Phantom directly to Joe on AVAX, just with a click. So it saves you a ton of time. It saves you a lot in the fees. It's cheaper. And it also brings in revenue for the protocol. That's another revenue source. And again, that would be a project in of itself.
Yeah. I think that's like the clear next step, I feel. And I feel like you guys definitely have the available resources to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have the team and we're executing. I think you take a look at a roadmap, I think, I don't know, I've never been part of another project that has delivered like we do.
Well, what are some of the earlier stuff you guys had in the roadmap that was difficult to accomplish, or was there none of them that were difficult?
They all have their unique challenges. Like even launching on new chains, every chain has its unique quirks. So I think it's more of a, I wouldn't say anything is more challenging than something. The whole project's just been interesting, and there's different things in different areas, more or less.
Yeah, would the challenge of a chain ever be considered when deciding whether you guys are going to move to that chain or introduce the printer to that chain?
Well, right now we're sticking with EVM chains.
Okay, now, so they're all very much the same.
Exactly, but they are. I mean, once you get into the guts of them, they are different. So different ones have different parameters or different quirks or different ways that they queue up transactions, which may have side effects. So, I've seen a lot of different things on the back ends of these different chains. So they've all been unique in some aspects. So it isn't a direct one-to-one. But then we do plan on, once we have the core EVM chains, we will be branching out to non-EVMs like Cardano and such.
Okay. Was there like a time frame for that, or is there just like there's no rush?
Well, see, I really do hate giving like strict time frames because we like to do one thing and then pivot to what is the next best thing at this time that would provide the best value. And by locking us into a hard roadmap where people are expecting certain things to happen, I think is a disadvantage to the protocol because we may at that point have something better we can work on. And then if we do work on that, it kind of creates maybe like a little bit of negativity that we didn't do something else that we said we were going to do, 6 months ago.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, all I can say is that we're always building and we're always trying to work on what is the most valuable at this point in time, having done what we did in the past up until then.
How do you guys determine what is more valuable at a certain time frame versus another thing?
That's reading what the market is doing. So one instance is Oasis was not in our roadmap at all. But they had a huge bridge failure. I don't know if you're aware of issues. There's a lot of issues there. So it was brought to our attention, and we decided that, hey, okay, let's do a quick vote. Do you want us to go there? So we were able to pivot there.
Okay.
The bridging as a service, that's another one that a lot of projects, when we started building the bridge, that was always an idea of the bridge, but we started to kind of rush that part of the development because of all these projects now wanting to go cross-chain. So it's kind of the new buzzword. So yeah, we try to keep an ear out on what the projects are doing, what the protocols are doing, where there's pains by DeFi users. So we try to stay close to the community in order to find out what is most valuable for the community.
Okay, yeah, that's a perfect answer. I was thinking the same thing. You guys would just have like a ratio of what, based off importance to recency, right? What is more important now versus what was more important before, as well as like the time basis, like the Oasis situation, right? Where they had like basically a breach in the liquidity where people were able to withdraw more through the bridge, right? Because you guys are able to have a vote on it so quickly, you guys would be able to take advantage of the new situation where people want to build a bridge to Oasis, but they can't use the regular bridge.
I think as well something else with the project is, I don't know the technicals of this, but I know that everything has been built to be as easy to launch as possible. Like it was already quite easy for us to launch, but with how Drew has done the new website, Atlas says it's like 70% easier. So I think we're always kind of factoring in, like, how can we be nimble? We don't know what we'll need to be nimble for, but how can we be kind of able to pivot and be flexible in the future?
Adaptability is definitely a core strength of the project.
Yeah, it is kind of built that way, I think. Everything is built with not just does it work now, but would it work to do it, for something else at speed.
Yeah, and as in anything, the only constant is change. So embrace it.
Okay. Sorry, Drew unmuted himself. I was just curious.
Sorry. Considering that I perceive you as a very smart guy since we started talking an hour ago, I wanted to give you one more detail. We basically went from full deployments of each chain. Basically, we had a website on each chain, and we went from that to a full-fledged type of deployment, web deployment, to a single configuration file. So that's why we cut it down by about 70%.
Wow. Yeah, that makes it a lot easier, especially like user-wise, because then they don't have to go to each individual chain website. They can just go to the one website. Am I interpreting this correctly? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how that can make things run a lot smoother, as well as make the user experience a lot better. Do you guys have like any like closing words? I know that we're running on like about I think like 50 minutes maybe. Or is there anything else that pertinent you would like to talk about?
I think one thing before we close is if any listeners here or anybody that reads this or sees this when it's posted, if you're new to the protocol, come in to the Discord, say hello. We'll even give you some paper to try out the bridge for yourself. So yeah, don't be shy.
Oh, I would say put the Discord link in the AMA questions.
Yeah, sure. Let me do that now.
Yeah, because I was thinking of joining it earlier, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, come say hi. We're super friendly. Maybe even a little bit too much. Sometimes a new person comes in and everyone is like, hi, 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 hi. We need to try and be a little bit cooler.
Yeah, and the team's always available. So we are projects where, we have some professional moderator staff that acts as the firewall between the community and the team. We're always there.
Okay. I'm glad to hear it. So, in closing, if people want to join Printer, how would they? What would you say is the best way or the recommendation in order for someone new who wants to join the Printer protocol? What is your recommendation for how they should join it?
I would say the very first thing is join the community, read our docs, see what we are, see how the mechanics work. There's so many different ways that you could play it, and that's pretty much up to your individual style. If you want to be arbitraging, if you want to be liquidity farming, if you want to earn in the revenue through ink allocations. There's many ways, but I think first and foremost is join the community, because we don't want anybody getting wrecked anyway. So know what you're doing before you start doing things.
Yeah. Are there going to be guides for each individual strategy that people can do in the protocol, or this just sort of be like someone will discover it as they use the protocol?
Yeah, we do have a strategy channel. There is a lot of talks about what works, what doesn't work, and but also as we grow, those strategies kind of change. Effects are a little different. So I would say it's important if you want to know good strategies to always be reevaluating how things work. And in order to do that, you should really understand what it is that we do and how we do it to be better informed.
Okay. Yeah. Do you guys have any infographics that you would recommend people to look at if they wanted to understand the protocol better, if they don't understand what we're talking about? Let's say they're really new to DeFi, or any sort of guides you would recommend?
Well, we have some guides on our Medium. We realize that, for example, a lot of people don't really know how APR is calculated or what it is. They just know that high number good, low number bad. And it's can the devs make it different? And no, we can't.
Oh, I've had to explain that a ton.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
Something, everyone becomes a meme all of a sudden. So we do have some guides on things like that. In terms of infographics, we did have some, right when we launched, that kind of mimicked, I suppose, that sort of tomb strategy of, put this here, put that there. But in terms of new things, no, I did make a quiz on what's your style, and it didn't quite take off as much as I hoped it would.
You know what you should do? This is an idea I've been pushing.
Tell me.
You should have an education channel, and basically people will go and they'll read through this presentation. Yes. And then at the end of it, they'll have a quiz, and if you do better in the quiz, you get more tokens.
So one thing that we are working on is a channel called Printer Press Education, or Printer Press Media. And that's kind of just still in the alpha stages right now, but that's going to be beefing up our YouTube presence. And we're going to have everything on there from what is DeFi to what is APR, how to get involved in Printer, and we're going to be including infographics with that as well. So it's not here just yet, but it is on the way.
Okay, that's very good. I was thinking you guys have a weekly quiz, and then whoever scores better gets more tokens.
We are starting to we are starting to do poker tournaments and chess tournaments. So
for community engagement.
Yeah, exactly, and because poker and chess are very awesome games.
No, for sure.
But I think you're right. Some more content is definitely something we could work on. And
because while this is a good program, I can see a lot of people skipping it because they don't understand the sheer gravity of what it means to be able to go cross-chain like that. So I think having a more educated community is always a good thing.
We've done pretty well, I think, with having a community that is educated, but I think you're right. We could definitely make it a lot easier. And also that can tie into the marketing side of things as well. So yeah, I think
I'm sure.
Something we can
I'm sure you guys are very good at explaining things. So I'm sure everyone knows what's happening.
We have a lot of nerds in our community as well, a lot of smart people, which helps.
Okay, this was very fun, AMA. I enjoyed this.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for hosting us.
Thanks for having us.
Does anybody else have anything that they wanted to ask? I know some of the people that are listening are already in our community, so maybe they don't have any questions. But
Someone did an emoji of something waving. He asked, you guys play Catan? Probably the only other way to trade paper as liquid as financial.
I do not, but I know that some people are super into Catan, aren't they?
I play Catan.
What is Catan? I've never heard of it.
It's like a sort of empire game, isn't it? Like when you have
it's a
different
board
resources.
game. Yeah, it's a board game. It's called Settlers of Catan. And basically you build settlements and cities and try to acquire points. It's a very fun board game. I'd recommend it to everybody. There's a lot of different expansion packs you can get for it as well. I believe that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, I think he's saying it's the only other way to trade paper as liquid is in Catan, a board game.
Okay. Our founder is here, the founder of Delta, who's also a professional race car driver. He just finished his race today, actually. He was in France. 24-hour race. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I've been in and out.
Ages. And you've never mentioned that you race cars? Oh my god, I feel betrayed.
It's all over Delta. Yeah, no, I've been haven't been able to properly speak because I've been in and out. Things are hectic around my end. But I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for coming. Long time in the making. We should have had you a long time ago, but we've been so hectic and busy. But yeah, hopefully we can do more of this stuff.
Yeah, be cool.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, thanks again for having us. It's been great. And yeah, best of luck with your project. And if anybody has any questions about ours, more than welcome to join the community.
Or if you ever want to go cross-chain.
That too.
Yeah, actually, we were actually asked a lot about cross-chain, and I was thinking it would be difficult to do that. But now that we have some new information about Printer, I'm gonna maybe try to work that into our tokenomics. So I'm in charge of the tokenomics, so I'll try to sneak my way there.
Pumpkin, Pumpkin was talking to me about that a while back, actually.
Yeah.
Shameless plugging of my own project.
Yeah, I'll try to sneak that in with maybe with the devs or everyone else. Okay.
Right.
Thanks for coming, guys. This was really good.
Thank you for having us. Have a lovely weekend.
You guys too.
See ya.
Good night.
Yep, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.